Hey guys, I am here to talk to you. My chair is really squeaky. Hey guys, I'm Bridget and I'm here to talk to you about natural birth control versus hormonal birth control, getting off the pill, cycle syncing, and all of that jazz. Disclaimer, I am not a naturopath, a gynecologist, a nutritionist, or a doctor. So everything that I'm telling you is based off of books that I've read, educational courses that I've gone through, talking to doctors and gynecologists, and Google. So if you have a question about it, hey, I might be wrong, and I'm okay with that. This is your disclaimer. Okay. First things first, I'm gonna tell you my story about birth control and going off of birth control, why I did it, and how I did it. That way you can have a little backstory about all of the things I'm going to say. Basically, when I was 13, my mom took me to the dermatologist because I was having really severe cystic acne, like most 13-year-olds. And I don't know why the dermatologist is allowed to put people on birth control, but they are. So the dermatologist was like, hey, let's put you on some birth control. So I went on birth control. I think it was a brand called Trinessa from when I was 13 years old until I was about 20 years old. That's a long ass time on birth control. Especially when I was not using it as a contraceptive. I was using it solely for acne, not a contraceptive. And you might be like, Bridget, you were in high school and in college. Why weren't you using it as a contraceptive? Well, personally, I decided to wait until I found my husband to have sex, so I didn't need it as a contraceptive. Anyways, that's another story for another day. But the reason I decided to get off birth control when I was 20 was because it kind of stopped working for my skin. I would wake up and I would have acne on my face, which I was like, why am I taking this pill if it's not actually helping? So I literally just stopped taking it one day. And my acne got worse and worse and worse. So I went to the dermatologist again and I was like, hey, I took myself off of birth control. It wasn't working with my skin. I don't want to take it right now. I don't really need it. Is there something else we can do? So they put me on this antibiotic called doxycycline. And doxycycline is used for a lot of stuff, but apparently they also use it for acne. So I went on doxycycline and it helped clear up my skin. However, it gave me like this weird leprosy like rash on my hands. And now at 28, I have this weird reaction to the cold. So if I get too cold too fast, I break out in hives all over my body that are extremely itchy. Lots of information, but that's what antibiotics can do to you if you're not aware of the side effects and symptoms. A couple of years go by, I've been off of birth control, I've been off of doxycycline, my skin still sucks, and I am just loading on tons of makeup. And over this time, I was drinking a lot, eating bad food, doing all of the things that you do when you're in your 20s, and not really taking care of my body. So when I was about 24, I got a job at a community working space as like an office manager basically. And the girl that I was working with was telling me about the skincare that she was doing, and she kind of spurred me into a natural skincare, natural makeup sort of routine. And because of her, I started doing more research about what I was putting on my skin and what I was putting in my body. And I decided to do an elimination diet to see if I could figure out what the triggers for my hormonal acne was. I did a lot of elimination diets and none of them worked. It was so frustrating. Like, okay, well, I don't really want to be on birth control if I'm not using it as a contraceptive. So I didn't go back on the pill. And then I met my now husband, Taylor. And we started dating, we got engaged, and I was like, yeah, I should probably get back on birth control because I'm not trying to make any tiny humans anytime soon, you know? Especially as a newlywed, I was like, this is a smart idea. I go back on birth control, and 2 months into being on birth control, I started experiencing crazy mood swings, heightened depression, which I hadn't dealt with since I was like 22 years old, severe anxiety and anxiety attacks, like anxiety attacks so bad I would wake up in the middle of the night in like a cold sweat, couldn't breathe, and would like just not be able to sleep for literal days. It was very bad. And I didn't know why I was experiencing these things because it just wasn't normal. And it was totally out of my character. I was having crazy mood swings. I would have days where I was super happy and then have days where I literally wanted to hide in the closet and just cry. I gained tons of weight and none of my clothes fit anymore. Just, I didn't feel good about myself and I didn't understand why, because I mean, I go to the doctor, I go to the gynecologist, and they're like, you're super healthy. I don't know what to tell you, you know, maybe change your diet. And I'm like, but I'm already eating healthy and I don't eat gluten. What is my problem? No one could help me. I decided to solve the problem myself. I started doing a bunch of research. I have a good girlfriend who, she actually has 3 kids, but she was talking to me about naturally tracking her cycle one day, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's super interesting. And she was like, yeah, I have a lot of friends who actually use this as a form of birth control, or non-hormonal birth control, basically. I started doing research and I found the book Beyond the Pill by Dr. Jolene Brighton, which I highly suggest for literally everyone and their mom to read, whether you are on birth control, you've been off of birth control, you're thinking about going off of birth control, you're in menopause, I don't care, read the book. It's so informative if you have any woman in your life at all. Like, dudes can even read this book. It will help you understand your woman so much more. I picked up the book Beyond the Pill and I started going through it and I was like, holy cow, I didn't know that all of these things that were going on inside of my body were a sign of hormonal imbalance. I also didn't realize that the symptoms I was having were symptoms of the problem, not the actual problem. Acne wasn't my problem. It was a symptom of a bigger problem going on inside of my body. So the more I started reading this book, the more I was like, okay, I need to freaking get off of birth control. Taylor and I talked about it and we prayed about it and we decided, okay, we're gonna do this together. We'll just start using condoms and be more responsible. I got off of birth control and y'all, I had like 2 pregnancy scares right away. That's always stressful. If you've never been through one, it's stressful. So I was like, okay, I really have to nail this down. I really need to be more careful. And I decided to start using the Daysy fertility tracker. And let me just say this, tracking your fertility does not mean that you're trying to get pregnant. You can track your fertility as a form of birth control. The more you understand your fertility, the more you understand your body and its cycles, the easier it is for you to understand your ovulation phase and the easier it is for you to avoid getting pregnant during your ovulation phase. It's pretty simple once you get it in your brain and you learn how your personal body works. I got this Daysy fertility tracker and it's very expensive, you guys. Like, a lot of people love it. I personally did not like it. It was not worth the money that we spent on it, and it was really hard to use. It's Bluetooth to an app and it doesn't actually have a temperature read on it. So basically what it is, a basal temperature thermometer, and your basal body temperature is your most accurate temperature read, and you just take it in the morning right when you first wake up. This is how you do any type of fertility tracking using this thermometer method or a different method or whatever. You track your basal temperature first thing when you wake up in the morning. With the Daysy thermometers, you're supposed to track your temperature. It'll beep at you when you're done, and then you have to hold down a certain button, and then it syncs with the app on your phone. It's supposed to be like a very accurate read. However, my thermometer never really worked. It was super, super difficult to use. It was really costly for it not being effective, and I decided to just stop using it and start using multiple apps to track my cycle. So I started using the Clue app and I started using the Natural Cycles app. And the Clue app is cool. It's a great free option. They also have a paid option. You're able to track your cravings, your symptoms, your cervical mucus, all of this stuff. But I didn't feel like it was giving me enough information, and I didn't feel like it was particularly accurate because they made a lot of updates to the app that were kind of not super functional. So I started looking more into the Natural Cycles app and what they do as a company. And Natural Cycles is a really awesome form of non-hormonal birth control, essentially, because you're tracking your basal body temperature, you're tracking your cervical mucus, you're tracking your period, any like symptoms you have, like a headache or anything along those lines. After using their app for a little while. Through the app, you take your temperature every morning like you would using any other natural tracking method, and you put it in the app and then you log your symptoms. For me personally, I take my temperature in the morning and I track like my cervical mucus. There we go. But then at night, I track the other symptoms through the day. Like, was I calm? Was I tired? Did I feel anxious? Was I stressed out? Was I lethargic? Whatever it was, I track all of those symptoms at night before I go to bed. So that way the next morning, I have the most accurate read. And the more you track your symptoms, the better the app is able to understand your body and help you understand your body. And personally, I'm a huge fan of Natural Cycles because their help desk team is like incredibly knowledgeable and helpful. Their social media team is super knowledgeable and helpful. And like literally everyone at their company is just so nice and kind. So if you have a question and you reach out to them, they will hit you up immediately, basically. And it's pretty awesome. In addition to that, we also use condoms every time because listen, to just take an extra level of caution, we do use condoms as well. That's just a little side note for anyone who's curious. I want to talk to you guys about your cycle a little bit and why it's helpful and beneficial to naturally track your cycle as opposed to using hormonal birth control. So hormonal birth control essentially goes into your body and it tells your natural hormones that live in here to stop creating themselves. Like your body is like, oh, you're giving me synthetic hormones? Cool, I'm just gonna stop making these hormones. So the problem is when your body stops making those hormones, all the other things inside of you that depend on those hormones kind of start to like malfunction a little bit, which is why a lot of people experience crazy side effects like I did. Because my hormones were like, whoa, what's happening? And they basically shut down. And another thing too is whenever you're on whenever you're on hormonal birth control and you decide to go off and naturally track your cycle as a form of non-hormonal birth control, your body can freak out because it's like, whoa, you stopped giving me those hormones, now what the heck do I do? In that case too, a lot of people experience crazy symptoms like loss of periods, like heavy periods, really intense period cramps, all of that stuff, which totally sucks. But the cool thing about that is, you can fix it with your diet, your supplements, and just understanding your body, your hormone. Y'all, I'm having a real hard time. Understanding your body, understanding your body, your hormones, and just your overall cycle better. So let me just tell you this. Your cycle is about 26 to 36 days long. That's a typical cycle length. And that just means it's essentially around 4 weeks. For most people, it's around 4 weeks, give or take a couple of days. And that's kind of cool because most people think their cycle is only the week that they're on Shark Week, Ant Flow, Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it. Most people think that their cycle is only the time of their period. Well, that's not true. Your cycle is 4 phases. Your follicular phase, your ovulatory phase, your luteal phase, and your menstrual phase. And the crazy part about that too is your menstrual phase is technically the first week of your new cycle or the first couple of days of your new cycle. So it's not the end, it's the beginning, which is kind of crazy because I always thought it was the opposite. I was always like, oh, this means it's the end of my month, my new month is starting now. Not true. Your new month or new cycle period basically starts when you get your period. It's that simple. Understanding that and understanding how your body works, you're able to tune in and know, oh, for most people, during your follicular and your ovulatory phase, you're probably gonna have more energy, you're gonna be more excited, you're gonna be more ready to go, you're gonna be more on top of things, you're gonna be ready to freaking take on the world. During your ovulatory phase, you probably feel a little bit more sexy, a little bit more like, ooh, I'm really feeling myself, because your body is essentially preparing you to go seek out a mate and make a baby. Hormones. And if you're not trying to make a baby, be cautious and wear a condom. I'm just saying. I mean, if you are trying to make a baby, amen, hallelujah, go forth and procreate, but otherwise. wrap it before you tap it, girlfriend. I mean, there you go, that's the truth. And then in your luteal phase, you start to like wind down, get a little bit more chill, get a little bit more calm, get a little slower. And then during your menstrual phase, I mean, for me, I'm a little bit more tired and lethargic and just kind of want to sit on the sofa with a blanket, which is totally fine because your body is going through a cycle and that's normal. So now that we've got all that covered, let me explain to you why it's good to know that. Basically, the reason you want to know the 4 phases of your cycle and want to understand your body is because you can start to cycle sync your life. You can cycle sync your workouts knowing, oh, at the beginning of the month, I'm going to have way more energy. So it makes more sense for me to go on a really long run versus, you know, doing yoga flows every day. I mean, unless you're a yoga instructor and then you go, girl. But when you start to near your menstrual phase, you might be more excited to do yoga flows every day, and that's totally fine. But it's helpful to understand your body so you're able to nourish it in a way that you can honor your body so your body honors you. And the thing is, like, our bodies were given to us as a gift, and I know that this sounds super like hippie, spiritual, whatever, but it's true. We were designed by the creator of the universe who was like, hey, I want you to honor this thing. This thing that you're living in, this skin contraption is a gift, and I want you to honor it. And the bummer is we don't really get taught how to honor our bodies or how to honor our hormones or how to do anything to really thank our body for waking up every day and letting us live life. But through tracking your cycle naturally as a form of birth control and even as a way to tell your fertility is a way to honor your body and to honor the planet and the people around you. Because when you understand what's going on inside of here, you're able to extend that out to everyone around you. And you're able to love people better, you're able to serve people better, you're able to show up for the people you love better. And honestly, your workouts get better and you learn how to eat better, which is just great. A lot of people kind of asked why you would do this versus birth control. And I mean, for me personally, I did this because I wasn't healthy when I was on birth control. My body was falling apart. And when I got off of birth control and started using naturally tracking as a form of birth control, I started feeling so much better and so much more like myself. And the people around me noticed too, especially Taylor, because he was like, oh, you're not freaking out on me every 5 minutes. And it's also cool being able to know where I'm at in my cycle so I can understand my moods, my feelings, just how I am with people. At the beginning of my cycle, I'm so much more excited and lively. And when I'm closer to my period, I'm a lot more likely to just be like, hey, I want to cancel plans because I just need to sit on my sofa or whatever it is. And guess what? When you know what's going on with your body and you can tell people, like if I texted my girlfriends and I was like, hey, you guys, I'm on my period, I'm feeling really tired right now, I just want to sit at home and watch a movie, they would be like, okay, I get it. Like I experienced that too. So whenever you're able to really understand what's going on in here, you get to show up in your life better and more thoughtfully and more intentionally. Plus, there's just so many other things too, like how to nourish your body during certain portions of your cycle. Like at the beginning of your cycle, your body is going to thrive off of different foods that it wouldn't necessarily thrive off of during your menstrual phase. And that's really cool to be able to understand that. So lastly, I want to recommend a couple of books to you guys because what I'm saying is just based off of what I've read in books and questions I've asked to doctors and just Googling. If you want to learn about this for yourself, which I highly recommend, you should read the book Beyond the Pill by Dr. Jolene Brighton. You should read the book Woman Code by Alisa Vitti. You should read the book The Fifth Vital Sign, and there's a couple of others, but honestly I can't remember the authors' names right now, so I'm just going to list them below. Seriously, you guys, this is actually a really awesome thing, and it's kind of crazy and weird, and it takes a lot of getting used to, but once you figure it out, I promise you, you're gonna feel so much better and even so much more empowered and so much more in tune with your personal, like, feminine energy and all of the things that make you so beautiful and amazing and glorious. And I can't wait for you to experience that because, like, I don't know, I feel really empowered knowing about myself and understanding myself, and I wish they taught us this in school, but I'm 28 and I'm just starting to figure it out. So if you're younger than that and you're learning this now, more power to you, girl, because we all need this information. That's why I naturally track, and that's what it's about, and that's why it's worth it. I hope this was useful, and I hope that you loved it. And if you didn't, I'm sorry. I don't know why you watched the whole video, but yeah, that's it. Love you guys.